Hello and welcome to Bright Talks. Today guests are Ponyboy Curtis, the main character and the narrator of the new release book called The Outsiders. The narrator Susan Eloise Hinton will also stop by. Tune in for an exciting TV show. Hello and welcome to Bright Talks. Today's main theme is The Outsiders. The Outsiders is a story that takes place in Oklahoma, USA in 1967. In the story, we get introduced to a society that are divided by their socioeconomic status. We follow two rival groups, the Greasers that are from the East Village that is characterized of bad economy, and the Sox on the West Side, which are the rich people. Susan Eloise Hinton wrote this during high school, and today we are going to get to know more about the background of the book. Please give a warm welcome to the author of the story, Susan Eloise Hinton. Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So, thank you for coming. How are you doing?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm doing fine.
So, let's talk about your new and your first book, The Outsiders. What did inspire you to write this novel?
Well, when I went to high school, there were two rival gangs that fought like the Socials and the Greasers did in the book. And I wanted to show the world how tough the world can be for some of us.
I'm not sure the audience have read the book. Could you give us a brief plot summary?
Yes, of course. The book is about two groups. You have the one called the Greasers and the other one called the Socials. The group is divided based on the economy. The Socials is a group with rich and a bit sassy members, and the Greasers are not as rich. They are many of them haven't even got an education, and their style is a bit older than what's popular at the time. The Greasers and the Socials had a lot of fight with each other in the book. One time, a boy named Ponyboy and a boy named Johnny met some of the Socials members. One of the boy who was from the Socials group was named Bob, and the Bob tried to kill Ponyboy. But to defend Ponyboy, Johnny stabbed Bob, so Bob died, and the other ones who came with Bob got very scared and ran away. And Ponyboy and Johnny got also really scared, so they ran away from home. And they stayed in a church. The church got on fire, and Johnny and Ponyboy tried to save some children. Ponyboy managed to save children and also save himself, but Johnny managed to save them, but he had to check in at the hospital, and later he died. And the police shot a boy named Denne when Denne got pulled out a gun from his pocket that wasn't loaded. So basically he asked the police to kill him. And he wanted this because Johnny was the only person he had ever cared for. So he was completely alone, and he hadn't a bright future, you could say. Ponyboy didn't handle the situation very well, so he got his grades got worse, and Ponyboy became careless and tougher to protect himself from the whole situation. He started lying to himself about Bob's and Johnny's death because he tried to protect himself. He said to himself that he had killed Bob and Johnny wasn't dead. So Ponyboy and some other persons from both the Greasers group and the Socials group had to come to a hearing. And after the hearing, Ponyboy started realizing what really had happened, that Johnny was dead and Bob wasn't killed by Ponyboy, but by Johnny.
Ponyboy Curtis is the main character, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about him?
Yeah, of course. He is the narrator and also the protagonist in the story. He is a very kind and smart person, a bit nervous sometimes, and he is a bit sensitive too. And when I made a plan of how I was going to write this story, I thought about the main character because it's so important. And then I thought it was to make my point any clearer about prejudice. I thought I should have a person as the main character who wasn't like the stereotype of a greaser, like because you have the greasers who often are dumb, they haven't got an education, they are poor, but Ponyboy, he wasn't like that. He had a bright future. He stayed in school. He was smart. He did what he had to do. So there was a hope for him, and I thought that was important to make my point and clearer about prejudice, that you shouldn't judge a person by the group the person are with or belong to. So yeah.
Yes. I read the story myself and I really liked it.
Oh, thank you.
And I think the whole story was really exciting and was a high tension throughout the story. And I couldn't figure out where the climax was. So when I had the author here and I can ask you, I just have to see if where I think the climax is
yeah,
right.
Of course. Yeah.
So I think the climax of the story is when they rumble between the socials and the research. And the reason why I think this is the climax is because it's after a lot of rising actions, and then after there's many falling actions. And the rumble changes a lot of people in the gang, and because they also learn that Johnny is not doing very well. So, is this where the climax is meant to be?
Well, actually, it's a bit later. It is when Johnny dies, but I can see your points, and but it because when he dies, there is when everything falls apart. You can, in a way, as a reader, you can see how it's going to end clearer than before Johnny dies, because before Johnny dies, you have the hope for him to survive and the hope for peace between the greasers and the socialist group. So it's a bit later, but you have some good points.
Yes, thank you. One last question. What is the theme in the novel?
Well, the theme could be interrupted by everyone, but it has something to do with class divide or bridging the gap between the poor and the rich. So, yeah.
Very nice to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
We get to know the story The Outsiders by Ponyboy Curtis' eyes. And today we are so lucky having him here. Please give a warm welcome to Ponyboy Curtis! Hello! Hi! Oh, nice. So, it's very nice having you here, Ponyboy. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, actually.
So good. Nothing's better than that. You lost your parents in a car crash, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you're now living with your brother Soda and Darin. How does that go?
It goes very well, actually. We come along better than ever. Dara is our guardian angel, and they allow us to live together as long as we behave properly.
In the book you said, I love Soda more than I've ever loved anyone, even mom and dad. And I also read that you fought with Derry sometimes. And it seemed like you and Derry did not communicate as good as you did in the end. How is that now?
In the start, me and Derry didn't get along that well as we do now. I felt that he would never, that he never got satisfied with what I accomplished. So now we understand each other much better. And Derry is a really good brother and takes very good care of me and Soda.
How are they like?
Yeah, Daryl, better known as Derry, he is 20 years old. He is strong, athletic, and intelligent, but he quit the school to take care of me and Soda. He is now working 2 jobs and to hold the family together. He is the unofficial leader of the Greaser group, and he makes very, very good chocolate cakes. Me and Soda eats the chocolate cake every morning to breakfast before Derek goes to work. We also call him for Superman. We, I mean the Greasers. Soda Pop, he is very handsome and good looking. I advise Soda Pop for his good looks and charm. He's in love with a girl named Sandy, and he has plans to marry her. But she is also a Greaser, so it's okay.
Johnny was your best friend, right?
Yeah.
Could you give me a brief characterization? How was he like?
Yes, of course. He was a very nervous and sensitive person, but he was a great and innocent guy. He came from an abusive home, and we, the Greasers, was his only family. He was very passive and quiet, and he has been through a lot upon his childhood. And I think that is the way parents treated him by abusing him. I think that has affected his behavior a lot. He looked like a little dark puppy that has been kicked too many times and is lost in a crowd of strangers. He was a quiet and soft-spoken person with black hair and large colored eyes. He was well-liked in the Greaser gang, and he was the one that kept the gang together.
I read that the last thing he said to you before he died was "Stay gold, pony, stay gold." What did he mean by this?
I have read a poem called "Nothing Gold Can Stay," written by Robert Frost, and I told him about this poem when we was hiding in the church. So I think he finally found out what it meant. Gold is something good, and it's hard to stay gold over a longer time. And the definition of stay gold is to stay young and notice the world. So I have decided that I am going to stay gold as long as I can for his sake.
That's very nice. One final question. How are you doing today? Are you still going to school and studying? And are your gang still together?
Yeah, our gang is still together. We have learned to live without Johnny and Dally, but it was hard for us to lose them. But the gang is closer now, and I am still going to school.
That's good.
I want to study literature, and I don't know what I want to be or work with, but maybe write poems, be an author. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, and me and my bros are having it very well, so
nothing's better than that.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming. It's been very nice having you here.
No problems.